I hit rock bottom, and it was rock bottom for sure. Like bottom of the barrel, like struggling.
What did that look like?
Stealing from Walmart and getting the money back in cards to put gas in my tank. You know what I'm saying? And donating plasma. I think in this season of my life, I would like to say that the biggest weight that I say I carry now is just the weight of my family, the weight of manhood, and the weight of responsibility. Mm-hmm. So I think that would be really the main thing. I think in this season, you know, I would say before, it was definitely things that I carried through childhood that I recognized were traumas. And so because I didn't want to necessarily carry those, there were seasons where I had to do the work. You know what I mean? I had to pray, I had to fast, I had to do some intentional just self-reflections. I had to do all of those things so that way those type of weights don't enter this season. And so the season that, like I said, I'm in now is mainly just, you know, as a man, you know, I just had my daughter, you know, she'll be 4 months on the 15th. Appreciate it. So, man, yeah, that came with a heavy responsibility. So I think just that really just put things into perspective of life. You know, I'm always, you know, I've been a present uncle. I got nieces and nephews, but to have your own is different. So, you know, the weight of that is crazy. And it's, you know, I've been married going on 6 years too. So showing up as a husband, showing up as a father, appreciate it. It could be a lot. It could be a lot. So that's definitely, man, this season I can speak into that is a way that I'm carrying.
Yeah, and you asked me, do I have children? And I told you 2 girls, and you just so that pressure. It is a lot of pressure, bro.
Yeah,
it is a lot of pressure to be the right man. Because when we're young, we get to be the type of man that we not necessarily want to be, but we just get to do what we want to do or whatever. Right. But when it comes to probably not even treating women in the right way or whatever. But when you have your own children, your own daughters or whatever, and you want them to be treated a certain type of way, you begin to change or whatever. Yeah. So what is some of those pressures you feeling with having a daughter?
Oh, man, I think temperament. I like to say I'm a pretty tempered person, mild-tempered. Yeah, it take a lot to really get me out of character. Mm-hmm. But I think, you know, with her, I'm just more sensitive to, you know, the things that I say, even around her, the things that I do. I would say another thing is wanting to affirm her, just because I've seen and experienced so many women that were damaged, that had fatherhood issues. So even if it's nothing, you know, she's still a newborn. So I know she's not experiencing that, but the pressure of that I feel to just want to be always conscious of affirming her and making sure that she knows her value, affirming who she is in this world, affirming her talents, affirming her gifts, and affirming her beauty, affirming her uniqueness. All of that, that's constantly something I want to make sure that I'm aware of as a father.
You got a lot of heavy stuff on you in your past?
Nah, man, thank God. Thank God. I give God glory that I did. You know, I don't want to say I never carried nothing heavy, but like I said earlier, it's just seasons that I walk through where I don't have to carry it now, you know, because thankfully, man, my career was touched by God and it really blew up and put me on a platform in places I never would have forecast. And so one of the lessons that I learned on that transition of growth was I couldn't carry what I was carrying in that season. Yeah. Because it'd be moments I'd be sitting down like this during interviews, and if I'm still struggling with something, it could have easily came out. It could have easily turned into something negative and, you know, would have really potentially been damaging. But because I was able to see that in that season, I was able to do the work, acknowledge it, because during that time, like even, you know, we going viral and things like that in my career, I faced a lot of opposition that very moment. You know what I'm saying? So even like with my family, you know, it was the dynamic changed. People changed. My circle changed. And so with that shift, it was just like, man, that's crazy. Like in one of the most pivotal moments I feel like in my life, there should have been a highlight moment. I'm experiencing so much like opposition. And so I just, obviously being a man of faith, turned to God in the moment to like, okay, God, what are you trying to tell me? What is it that I need to learn? What is it that I need to do? And so during that moment, I realized like, man, Stephen, you got a lot to unpack. You know what I'm saying? You didn't realize that, hey, you thought you was over it, but now you see those things come back to surface. You're not really healed like you thought you was healed. You just managed, you do damage control. But it was one of those moments to where I realized like, man, I can't go into this next season of life. I can't go into this next just era of where God want to put me carrying that. So did the work, man. I did a lot of fasting. God really just put on my heart to just do a fast, no food, 7 days. And then after that, I just transitioned to just fruit. So I just gained a lot of clarity mentally, physically, spiritually. It really just opened my eyes to just even everything going on around me, the people around me. And it really allowed me to see myself like I've never saw myself before. And so in that moment, I was able to dig deep, heal myself. Not necessarily heal myself, but, get the healing that I need, obviously, from the things that I was doing, but also allowing God to do the healing as well in me. And if I not have done those things or acknowledged it or really dealt with it, then like I said, it could have been bad. But now I'm in a season where I have a father to where, me and my dad may have been having issues. I'm not going to carry that to fatherhood with my daughter or any of my kids. You know what I'm saying? Had I not been healed, though, it's easily you're able to revert back to what you know because that's how you grew up. But it's just like, nah, we broke those cycles. We breaking generational curses and we moving forward. So yeah, man, I'm thankful for this season I'm in because it was a journey. You know what I'm saying? It was a time to really walk through that. You know what I'm saying? Didn't talk to family members for a while. A lot of opposition there. And then just obviously, that affects your spiritual, your emotional. So I would find myself maybe snapping or, like being angry and doing all of that in spaces that didn't even require me to be that way. But, just getting over that and really like unpacking it, realizing what I need to do, doing the hard work, God really allowed me to elevate. You know what I'm saying? And then really put me in a space to where now I'm in the rooms where I don't have to pull from that place. I can pull from a place of being healed. I can pull from a place of being of a sound mind instead of pulling from being hurt. Like I don't have to speak from hurt. I can give you what you need or what I need or what the room needs because it's coming from a place of genuine, of just being pure and genuine and just being healed. So.
Did you go through a lot of emotion holding your daughter for the first time?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
What was you seeing when you was looking at her?
Man, it got real. Life got real. I think I just saw, a future. I saw responsibility. I saw God. You know what I'm saying? When you see life being created, your lady, she be pregnant 9 months. It still don't really hit you. At least in my perspective as a man, I feel like we don't really get it, like they do. I feel like women, they carrying the baby. They feeling the emotions and all of that. We just making sure they good, she fed, and she comfortable. But I don't think it really got real for me to held her in my arms. She's screaming, she's, breathing. So, man, it was different.
I think there's a lot of moments in our life, whether good or bad.
Yeah.
When we had this flicker moment, like when we shooting back to the past, like shooting, like you start to remember things and it just start coming up in your mind. I think holding a child, for somebody who's like nervous about what's about to happen or, excited at the same time, but nervous because none of us are given the handbook or whatever. I think you had that flicker, like your life start flashing through your head or whatever. Your life flashing through your head, going back to when you was a child. What does that look like, your household and all of that?
Yeah, growing up. So I was raised pretty much like in the church. Dad was a pastor. I want to say most of my childhood. But before even he became a pastor, my uncles and everybody in church doing something.
Yeah.
So that's just general upbringing, you know what I'm saying? And so we stayed in Sykeston, Missouri, like the country, for a little bit. Yeah, it's about 6 hours away from KC. Yeah, so it's about 6 hours from KC, close to St. Louis.
Okay.
And then we moved here. I was about 10. And so, growing up, man, everything was church. Parents was married. You know, my whole upbringing, they got married. I want to say almost 40 years now.
Yeah.
So, we grew up well. You know what I mean? My parents definitely did what they could do. Raised us right, taught us the faith, how to believe in God, how to go to God for yourself in prayer. But during that process, a lot of times when you grow up in church, you just kind of know church, but you don't know God. And so my experience growing up, it was like I knew church, but I didn't know God. But early on, I was able to experience God, but I didn't necessarily know the facets of what that meant to even be a believer and to know what that looks like when you walk it out. And so I feel like, growing up, I was definitely that rebellious kid. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't say I was just out here just doing anything, but I was very vocal. I was setting my opinions and I felt validated in what I stood on. And so a lot of friction with my parents, I received that. And that was mainly when I got older. But because I experienced a lot early, so I grew up early, started drinking early, started smoking early, started doing a lot early, you know what I mean? Before my time even necessary, I just was always just like, this is what I want to do. I'm going to do it. So during that time of just growing up, that's just what it was. Like, I wasn't really, like I said, like a bad kid. I just did what I wanted to do. Yeah. So I think, growing up, my parents, they were strict with a lot of things. So I think that kind of put me in a place to like want to experience those things that they was like, nah, you can't do that. You can't do this, can't do that. I'm like, why not? Like, ain't nobody else dying from it. You know what I'm saying? Like, ain't nobody experiencing all these things that they saying gonna happen if you do it. So I'm like, well, shoot, I'm gonna do it. And so that was pretty much me. I just did it. They like to say I'm like the prodigal son because I was the one, I'm saying, that was gonna do what I said I'm gonna do. And that was just me, man. I always went against the grain. I was always against the grain kid. I always was confident in what I could do. I would say growing up, always being a bigger guy, I struggled with just like being confident in myself from the physical, but I was never insecure about who I was. I think I always knew who I was in God. I was gifted, I'm gifted and skilled in a lot of things. So I think that just really kind of just helped me just love those aspects about myself, to know that I have value, but you still struggle, with just some insecurities there.
Everybody.
Yeah. So it's just like, as I got older, I'm like, well, shoot, again, doing what I want to do. I'm out here, I'm living. Then, 18, as soon as I graduated, got my own spot, life got real. You know what I'm saying? Bills start coming, situations start coming, relationships. And so that's when I actually started experiencing life for what it really is. And a lot of, what my parents would say started to come to fruition. And I started to see that in real time. And, that's when, like I said, I really felt like I was able to see God for him to me, for myself, versus what I was taught. Yeah. So I think, I really reached a good point in my life growing up to where I hit rock bottom. And it was rock bottom for sure. Like, bottom of the barrel, like struggling.
What did that look like?
Stealing from Walmart and getting the money back in cards to put gas in my tank. You know what I'm saying? And donating plasma at least 4 to 5 times a week. Like, look,
understood.
Hey, all that. You know what I'm saying? So it was just like, man, okay, God, what you trying to do? Like, I'm even applying for jobs and I'm a hustle. I'm going to get it. But it just still wasn't adding up. You know what I'm saying? It still wasn't doing what I needed to do. So that's when I had to turn back to God, because I'm like, okay, it's obviously out of my control at this point. So God, what is it that you want me to do? What is it that you really telling me? And so it was this one night, man, like 2:00 in the morning, I was just sitting there, and then I was just talking to myself, talking to God. And then I began to hear actually God talking back to me. And we had a conversation, and I just literally right there just started praying, start worshiping, and I just began to break down. And then I just began to start pouring out for real, like everything I felt like I was dealing with, everything I was holding on to. Because in between that time, you know, I'm experiencing life. So you're trying to get it, but when you feel like you can do it on your own, you do anything. Not knowing that you added more to you opening yourself to more things in that process. And so that's what was happening. And so I'm trying to pray to get all these things off me, get them out of me, you know what I'm saying? And it just happened then. And so that's when it was that moment where I'm like, okay, I know what I need to do. I know, you know what I'm saying, what it is at this point. So I turned back to God, man. It was just like, yo, it's time. It's time to really stick with it. And it's time to just quit playing, like you know what to do. And so, you know, that journey was off and on, you know, up until today. But now I can say, thankfully, I'm rooted and grounded in my faith to where I'm not wavering on things that I know to be contrary to what I believe and who I know him to be. So it's just like I stand 10 toes on who I am because I know whose I am type of thing. So it's more so that's how I move.
That's hard.
That's real.
Who I am because I know whose I am. That's hard.
Yeah.
When you because you said that was a lot as far as things I want to poke at.
Yeah.
Can you remember the first thing you did that was like rebelling against the? Because I know when we were younger, we used to look at that, and you're not a PK personally, but you in that whole. We usually look at them like they're done. They're cooked. Like they go get out here and be cooked because y'all been sheltered off so long from everything. Facts. So do you remember that first thing you did that was like, all right, like did you say smoking, drinking, all that stuff, like that very first thing, and how you felt after you did it?
Yeah, facts. Man, I ain't gonna lie. Like I said, I started early getting into stuff. So it was, I mean, it probably dates back to maybe 10 to 12. Yeah, like, you know, little chick came to the house and I look.
That said a lot.
So it started then. So I'll say from there, you know, I probably had my first drink maybe around 14.
Was you influenced easy too? Nah. Or was those things you just wanted to do?
It was just what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I like to say I'm an old soul. I'm mature. So I think I was already in a space where people treated me older anyway because just my intellect and everything was already matured for my age. So a lot of people just assumed I was older anyway. So it was one of them situations to where I'm like, okay, well, they doing it, I'm doing it too. Or like, shoot, they vibing, I want to vibe too. So it was just also just curiosity, like, let me just see what they talking about. Yeah. But I was never like pressured into doing nothing. I think unfortunately I became the peer pressure, you know, when it came to, you know what I mean, doing things and kicking it like, nah, bro, go ahead and drink. No, like, you know, obviously one of the best thing to do, but I think that's just where I was. You know what I'm saying? I was in that space. I felt like, okay, cool. These are my peers, even though they could have been like 5, 7, 10 years older than me. That's just what it was.
You felt like you had the power to get people to do things you wanted them to do?
Oh, yeah.
Where do you think that came from?
Confidence. Confidence in what I say is true. Confidence in what I say is a good decision. And I think people usually I think I carry a feeling of just being safe. So I think people feel safe with me. So decisions we make, they feel comfortable enough with my decision.
When you talk about earlier, a little earlier, you said something about insecure within your weight or whatever. Yeah. What is that insecurity about? Because you are very confident, and you say you've been confident for a long while in other areas. So what was the insecurity? We know where the insecurity was, but why the insecurity of it?
I would say the insecurity was because I didn't necessarily want to be the size that I was. So I think it was like, man, and I like to dress. So it's like certain clothes look better on a smaller frame. That's just the reality of it, and I think, for me, certain styles I would want to wear, I'm like, dang, I can't even get a fit off because, what I'm saying, it's not hitting like I want it to hit. And so, things like that. And I think just like, wanting to look good when you take your shirt off at the pool, like, now I really don't care. It is what it is. Like I'm showing up. But at the end, like during that time, it was like, man, like, nah, I ain't really there. Which I mean, I think everybody faced some sort of like insecurity about their body and themselves.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, that was kind of my main thing. It's like I want to get a fit off, and I want to wear this specific type of look, and it's not hitting like I want it to hit. So yeah, I would say that's where it started.
Women love you. You'll find that women love bigger dudes.
Oh, for sure.
Because y'all carry smell better too. Y'all carry as far as the fragrances y'all spray on and stuff. Big dudes be walking past me. I'll be like, hey boy, you smell good. First they a little uncomfortable, but nah, I'm gonna tell you smell good, brother. Facts. I'm gonna let you know you smell good.
Nah, that's big facts.
They like the big dudes and the way y'all put it on. And for you to say they don't make stuff for your size and all of that stuff, that means you got to get more creative then.
Facts.
I mean, if we could just go throw it off of the rack, we ain't really been. I mean, it's people, little dudes who put it together, but I'm saying you got to be a little more creative.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So you got to get a little more credit when you put it together.
Facts.
So I don't know. Women love big dudes. Women love bald dudes now, dudes with dreads. Like all the stuff that they didn't like when we was younger.
Yep.
They love grays now. So all the stuff we used to be insecure about, ain't even no point in being insecure about.
Right.
But grabbing that confidence, it has to be somewhere where it had to be a point where you was like, nah, I'm him.
Yeah. No
matter what side. Do you remember that point?
Bro, like I said, when I was a kid, I always felt like I was him.
But fuck my sides.
Yeah.
Fuck my sides. I'm fully him. Like,
yeah. Even then, like I said, it'll be moments of insecurity when I feel it. But again, it'd be like, it'll be a switch like, bro, don't forget who you are. You know what I'm saying? So it'll easily just be like, okay, bet. Who gonna say something?
Yeah.
And that's how I looked at it early on. You know what I'm saying? As a kid, I'd be like trying to pick out fits and stuff for other people. Like, nah, they don't really match. They ain't really a thing. So it started early for me. So I just always knew, you know what I mean? I was confident in what I could produce because I just seen how other people reacted to like a fit I put together. Or like I mentioned earlier, man, I'm blessed enough to be skilled in like just other talents too. So it was just like when things just came good to me, when you're good at things, that also make you a little bit more confident too. So like I can sing, and that made me confident. Could draw made me confident. When I was playing football, was playing both sides, was excelling, like playing varsity freshman year, made me confident. So it's just like all those things to where when you're good at what you can do and you know how to make it better, it just adds that confidence value.
So with you being so confident, and you know how it could be in school or for younger people or whatever, with the dudes, the girls that were around you who looked up to you, or just, you seem like a person that people gather around and stuff, and you lead them. Were you leading them in a way of pick up your confidence, pick up, you know what I'm saying? Did you used to instill things in them? Oh,
for sure. Yeah, like all my people, man, I'll talk them up. And I'm like, I find out a way how I can integrate myself to making their situations better. And, again, that was one of those things that actually wasn't negative because sometimes I would overcompensate and enable. But then when it became healthy, it's like, okay, now it's a partnership. You know what I mean? Now we helping each other. I'm helping them grow.
Yeah.
And especially having a background in photography. I was a photographer for over 10 years. And so photography, you want to see people in their best light. You know what I'm saying? You want them to look their best. And so that's just how I always looked at people. I want you to look your best because when you look your best, you're going to feel your best. And when you feel your best, you're going to be your best. And so that's one of those situations to where, when I work with people and even, as a photographer with my clients, like if you're not comfortable, it's going to show. You know what I'm saying? So I want you to feel your top self. And how can we make you feel like your top self? Even with what you have, even with what's here in the room, how can you feel like your best self? Not feeling like you got to go spend you know, thousands of dollars. I gotta get surgery, doing all this extra stuff. Like, there's a way to make you your best self.
Yeah. Best self. Talking about threads and stuff and transitioning into a thread you had put on, they call Instagram threads, whatever it's called, thread. I don't know it verbatim. I don't know. I think you said something along the lines of like, if you never experienced a black woman or something, you haven't experienced life to its full, or you can never experience life to its fullest. You you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I don't remember verbatim, but it was something like that.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand what you mean by that. I mean, I feel like I know, but I want to know like deeper what you mean by that.
For sure, yeah. If you ain't experienced a black woman, man, you ain't experienced life. I feel like they are the epitome of life because they carry so much, and they carry it well, and just innately who they are, you just feel safe. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, you feel safe with a black woman with your feelings, at least the right black woman. You know, with your feelings, she's healed. She can provide everything you need. Let's make sure that's clear, because it's some that, you know, they going through their journeys, but that's okay. We all do it. Yeah. But again, innately within a black woman, she carries grace. She carries style. She carries individuality. She carries strength. She carries humility. She carries servanthood. She carries honor and respect. And so innately, when you carry all these characteristics, you just learn from them. You grow from them. They make you better. And by you making them better, it also makes you better. You know, the right type of woman can make the man feel like the best man in this world, the strongest man in this world. They got that power to do that. And it's not even necessarily through manipulation or nothing like that, but by their innate character. So again, if they're in their best self, they're going to produce quality in everything. The man, the career, the job, kids, it's going to be reflective of how they move. Yeah. And I feel like black women, they especially carry that. You know, not to knock anybody else, any other race, but exclusively a black woman carry that.
Yeah. And carry our weight too. Yeah. A lot of the times, like the stuff that we dealing with. But how does that look on our side as far as, yeah, she's healed, if she's done the work, but how does that have to look on our side too, as far as maintaining this woman, keeping her around? Because those healed women will leave your ass.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
I ain't done. I didn't win my journey. Like, I'm not about to deal with this forever. So what does that have to look like on our side?
It looks like manning up to responsibilities. Man, unfortunately, a lot of times we get the short side of the stick, but that's how we're built, to carry that short side, to overcompensate, to make it equal.
When you say the short side of the stick.
So when it comes to just like just being aware, like me, we don't necessarily have spaces where we can talk about life, you know, and that's what I mean. Not necessarily in life where there's like necessarily like handicaps or anything like that, but there's not many communities where we could talk about like, yo, I'm actually stressed. Like, you know what I'm saying? Work is actually, I'm on my last end. You know what I mean? My family, my kids, is, you know what I mean? Like, we don't have safe spaces to really just vocalize that. We just carry it and we just do what we got to do. But, you know, a lot of society and places in society have created spaces for women to do that and to talk comfortably and to be emotional, to do all of those things, which is dope. So when I say like we get the short side of the stick, we don't necessarily have that. You know what I mean? And even going back to fashion, you know, when it comes to just being in the big and tall market as a big and tall model, there's so much more progression with women. You got curve sections in the store. You got, you know, models in every designer from fast fashion up to high fashion. And you don't see that progression with men. You know, we're in the same couple campaigns. That's about it. We in athletic wear, and that's all you're going to probably see us in is athletic wear and your lifestyle JCPenney's commercial market. You know what I mean? So it's just like being able to rally and make progress within society. Women just have that one up. And so, that's just what it is. But I think, what was your original question? Because I think I may have kind of veered off from the start of it.
What is our end of the healing? Like when you got a healed woman, how do you maintain that woman? Because we ask for a healed woman, but we ain't doing work ourselves half the time. on our end.
Yeah. Nah, that's 100%. So I think with that, it's like when you heal, when she's healed, she can recognize when you're not. And so what that looks like for us is to start healing. You know what I'm saying? Start getting rid of our mindsets that may be either immature or may have just lack future planning. You know, because as a man, you should be leading. You can't lead if you don't have a destination. And so that's why the future is important. Future planning is important. And your woman is going to look to your man to do that. So if you don't have plans for the future, where's she going to lead? Where you going to lead her to? You know what I'm saying? Y'all just go end up in circles or end up nowhere at all. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, you have to, as a man, you got to shift. You got to take on that responsibility. You got to take on that burden and carry it, but also carry it with the same grace that she can, you know, with the same temperament she can. But while you do that, it also teaches her the same temperament she should have, you know what I mean, as a woman, because she see you carry it. So, you know, if I don't deal with you this way, why are you dealing with me this way? You know what I'm saying? And so then you start to get that reciprocity and you see more duality and more union in a relationship where a man is able to meet his woman in that same capacity when they are 100% healed.
You said the man is to lead and to have you got to know the destination though or whatever.
Yeah.
And you got to have a plan for the journey. But do you believe there has to be, you have to be able to improvise on the way though?
For sure.
Like, cause.
Yeah, life gon' life.
Yeah. Like
life be lifing and it's gon' life, but you got to be able to shift and you learn skills as a man, how to shift. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You can't look to your woman to necessarily carry the weight of the family because that's just not her responsibility. That's just not how she's designed. You know, when you get women who's in those spaces, she become hyper emotional. Then she become masculine. Then she become, you know, disrespectful in her tones and how she's talking. Like that's because that's not in her character to do that. You know what I mean? Women are, well, at least for me, let me speak to myself, but I believe that women operate their best in their femininity. You know, when they can be their soft, nurturing, caring self, that's when they operate best. And to my point earlier, it's like when they are in that space, again, like you get that, you know, even when you're going through something, you get that, baby, we gonna work it out. You know, what we need, what you need to do, what we gonna do. You know, instead of her, you ain't that nigga, you ain't da-da-da. You know what I'm saying? Like, instead of her being that type of person, she's healed. She like, okay, this is my man. I'm riding with him. We rocking. I see the plan. I see the future. We just got a little hiccup. So now, babe, what you need me to do? You got it, babe. I know you're gonna make it work. I know you're gonna work it out. How we gonna do this? How can we plan together? Let's have a meeting. Let's budget. Let's see what, you know what I'm saying? So she's gonna structure everything for you to be your best self.
Women have a lot of patience with us.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Yeah.
And you said they operate better when they're able to be soft in their femininity. But what about when their hearts are hardened? Do you think we're patient enough with them on the other end?
Oh, man. As a whole? Like, do you think...
I'm just saying, not you. I'm just talking about men in general. Yeah.
I feel you. And that's what I'm trying to answer honestly. I feel like as a whole, we could be more patient. But unfortunately, what I would have to say to that, I do feel like society is pushing an agenda that validates them being hard, that is invalid. So I don't even want to necessarily condone what it is of us not being patient, because that's a factor for sure. But I do know, at least from what I see a lot, that a lot of women get affirmed in that feeling without necessarily seeing the bigger picture or seeing it all the way through. You know, because it's like you have unhealed women giving unhealed women advice, and they take it and run with it. And I'm not saying that's everything, but I'm just saying as a whole, when you think about just things you see on trending topic on social media, like I've seen some the other day talking about like this chick who basically set a list of like first dates where we not gonna go to a coffee shop. You need to make me a dinner, and you need to make dinner plans at restaurants 5 stars. Here's my top 5 choices. You know, like conversations like that. It's crazy to me. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, I'm not about to validate you feeling like you pressure when you trying to put these unrealistic expectations on men at the same time. You know, so it's just like, you know, you definitely got women who are, you know, on that journey to be healed. And they want a man to help lead them and see them as they are, to be like, hey, I see you. You may not be 100%. We can walk this thing together. You know what I'm saying? But then you got the others. So, I mean, I think we, for sure, to answer your question, can be more patient. But I do think it should be a lot more women who have the qualities and possess what a true woman who's 100% in her femininity also being a narrative.
I think they're there because they don't, a lot of them there because they didn't feel safe in that soft spot. Because we ain't allowed them to be soft.
That's true.
We pushed them there, like most of them there. Now, once we push this line of them there, the other ones are naturally born under that line. So that's all they see. Is how that line is acting. So a lot of it is are doing, I ain't gonna put it all on us, but I'm just saying, like, a lot of them is because we just do shit and they supposed to just accept it.
And also you got men who act like women.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? When it comes to like being financially responsible, showing up when they need to show up for their kids and being in their life and being responsible. Like, you got that happening for sure. So yeah, unfortunately, when you got men who are undercompensating who they should be as a man, then yeah, you got these hard women like, okay, I'm gonna get it on my own then. I'm gonna make sure it happen because this is where you falling short.
Yeah. As a married man of 6 years.
Yes, sir.
6 years, right. I had a guy, I was talking to a guy and he was like, I don't know what he said, but he said something like, my woman is not my friend. She can never be my friend. My friends are my friends. I separate the two.
Yeah.
What do you feel about that?
I mean, I can see a point to that, but I don't agree with it because my wife would be like my best friend. So that's how I look at it. You know, she's the first friend I would say that is a friend to any of my friends. And if you ain't friends with my wife, then we ain't friends. So that's how I look at a friend. You know, of course we got our exclusive friends, you know, her girlfriends. I have my guys, the homies, but that's that. But when it comes to a friend, that's how we actually became a couple, because we wouldn't be probably still in a relationship if we weren't friends first. Yeah. You know, I think us developing a tight friendship really helped the health of our relationship and our marriage because we look at each other as friends at the end of the day.
Yeah. So I'm gonna ask you this. I'm a friend of your wife now because I'm your friend, obviously. I become a friend of your wife. As my friend, now that she's my friend, well, she's basically my sister now.
Yeah.
Because you my brother.
Yeah.
So as this being my sister, I had to treat her as such, I feel like.
For sure.
So if I see you out and you doing your 1-2, and I say, hey, Steven, cuz you ain't never had nothing like this at home or whatever, da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
And I tell you, hey, you gotta be straight, bro. I gotta let her know, because that's my sister now.
Yeah.
Because now, when you do it, it falls back on me.
Yeah.
How does that look? You know, am I able to hold you accountable, or are you like, bro, stay out of my business?
I don't think that's necessarily the same. I think you can still hold me accountable without necessarily damaging who your alliance is to and your allegiances to. Because if you were my friend first, that's something we should discuss before you move forward and you go discuss with her.
I did discuss it with you first.
Yeah. So I feel like, you know, in that situation is really where your loyalty lies. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, you still just got to be loyal to who I feel like is your actual friend initially. Because some things are based on friendship and some things are based on relationship. And so...
Break that down. So
basically, if infidelity, I would consider that relationship. Friendship is how you show up for me and I show up for you. You know what I'm saying? So you holding me accountable, 100%. Hold me accountable. And, you know, as my brother, I'm my brother's keeper. So, yo, check me. But when it comes to relationship, you can advise me. We can talk about it. But to cross that boundary of going to her is out of line because that's not your relationship. You know, so your value is in the friendship, not the relationship.
And it look like you trying to do it. And you look like you
you trying to dirty Mac. Like you trying to backdoor. So
that was another discussion we had in a group I was talking with.
Yeah. That's crazy. Hey, if that's happening in real life.
No, it's just a discuss. Like, you know how you just people just have random thoughts or something. You may see something and be like, I wonder if this happened. How would this?
Yeah,
so you question
sure.
all situations to feel the people around you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm that type of person. Like they say Kobe, when he was in the gym, he practiced all the shots that could happen.
Yeah.
He fake a foul or something like that. I'm that person. I have like random questions and I got to question the people around me in case these things do happen.
Yeah.
How do we maneuver in these situations?
Yeah, for sure.
With your wife, like you said you didn't say she was patient with you, but you said in a relationship you have to grow through certain things.
Yeah.
Like y'all couldn't always have been, I would imagine y'all had a great time right now because you said you're feeling good, you just had your daughter or whatever.
Yeah.
And y'all been married 6 years, but 6 years of marriage don't always look like, you know what I'm saying?
Facts.
So how was that beginning for you? You know, the first couple years for me, I'll say personally, it wasn't so good on my end.
Yeah.
You talk about not holding your end down as a man. I was failing in that area and stuff like that. So I had to realize where I was at and realize where I needed to lead more. And we're in a way better place right now. And we on year 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Year 10. That's what's up.
Year 10. Patience. She had a lot of patience with me. But it was patience on my end too.
Yeah.
She ain't perfect, but she was definitely better than me in a relationship.
That's what's up. Nah, I mean, to your point, them first couple years, bro, was not it. I mean, we was like this for about first 3 years. I mean, and we, for the most part, I would say we had good days, but it was just that growing, unpacking how you was raised, how you see marriage, how I'm raised, how I see marriage, how you see dealing with family, how I see dealing with family, how you see, planning for budgeting, spending money, you know what I'm saying? All those things just start happening together. You know what I mean? We will talk about it, but it's different when somebody's actually in your wallet now. Now they're using up utilities. Now they, you know what I mean, in your space. So it's like, okay, now it's gonna be different. And so we just had shifts with, just communication styles and things like that. And then even in, my career, I travel a lot, do different things. So it's like we'll have conversations about conversations around like what I do, who I work with, and the type of work, I put out there, things like that. So we definitely, man, it was not at all peaches and cream, but I think the main factor that was the glue was really God. Anytime we can find ourselves like this, God always would put us like this. Because that's the one thing I made sure before we got married. If you don't think like this, if you can't find yourself going to God and having that foundation about us, then you're not the one for me. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, even if I'm in the complete wrong, whatever the situation may be, you should still go to God first. Because I'm not the deciding factor over this relationship. God is. And so I think, that's just was my output. So like we getting into it, we arguing. Okay, let's reset. Let's just pray.
Yeah. Let's
pray, reset the energy. And then communication was huge. It's still huge. Like that's
communication.
And communication is huge. And that's one thing that we now getting our foot in, you know what I'm saying? To where we feel like, okay, you hear me, I hear you. So yeah, man, just really locking in and be like, okay, let's invite God into this space instead of just going back and forth. Cause it's like, I set parameters to where when we date, there's no breaking up. That's just me. I set a parameter to where we not gonna, if I say I'm done with you, I'm truly done. No matter how mad I am at you, if I don't want to leave you, you're not gonna hear me say it. You know what I'm saying? So that's the parameter I set for our relationship. So if you wanna get some space, go get some space. If you wanna, spend some time here with your mom, whatever, do that. But until you say, hey, I don't want to be with you no more, you are no longer my person, then we're not going to say that. Because once we say that, it's done. So I think, just things like that, setting clear boundaries on what the extension is, because you see, you know, for us, I said I don't want to be that couple that break up and make up off arguments and stuff like that. They be fighting like, nah, we're not doing that. So unless you done, then I know for sure, okay, you done. Yeah. You know what I mean? But if not, let's work it out.
Compromise, consideration, communication. Those are like three real important C's to me within a relationship. But going to that reset, you talk about reset. How do you, like, what does that reset look like? Because some people will be walking past each other for like 3 weeks. Yeah. And be like, you know what I'm saying? Even in marriage. Yeah, and it's crazy to me because we was doing that as girlfriend, boyfriend in high school relationships and a little after that. But like in a marriage, I just don't feel like, I don't think we ever got to that point where it was like more, and it shouldn't even be that long. 2 days where you walking past each other. Even then, you still say something. Like, y'all in the house together. And I'm always the type of person, don't tell me I'm sleeping on the couch or something like that. Ain't not in my house. You crazy. Because I never understood that looking at the sitcoms when I was young. Go to the couch. Like, why you can't go to the couch? I don't want you to go to the couch either, but what makes it to the point where the man gets so, I'm going to the couch. Maybe it's like, I don't want to hear that shit. Maybe it's just that, because I know you ain't physically scared of her. Or I just don't want to hear that shit. But a woman's energy can be a little bit intimidating sometimes when it's like, oh, shit.
Well, look.
But what them reset, like, do you have a rule for the reset? Do you have a rule for when y'all ain't maybe arguing and how to, like, the timing of, like, where do we find time to actually talk about this? Or is it, you get what I'm asking you?
Yeah. For us, I think it's not necessarily a rule, but it's what we've communicated in the past that we trying to stick to even now, is that be clear about where you want to be in the conversation, because we're going to address the issue. But if you feel like you need some time to process it because you feel like you're hyper emotional right now, I can respect that. Because for me, I can say I want to talk about it right now. Like, I don't like lingering problems and nothing like that. Like, let's problem solve. Let's get to it. Let's end it immediately. You know what I'm saying? She's on the other hand, she like to process. And so one of the things where we had to really understand is each other's style of communication. So I'm like, you know, for me, the compromise came into where if you feel like you need time to process, I owe you that time to process. But be clear about how long you need to process. So what is that going to look like? It's going to look like 30 minutes, an hour, a day. Be clear on that. And then we set a time where we're going to talk about it. You know what I'm saying? And so if that's what it is, then that's what it is. You know, I compromise on that. And so I think for us, that's that reset, because it's like, now you got your time, so we're going to talk about it. You don't get to just emotionally lash out and then think it's just done. Like, nah, it's not going to happen. So you want to bring it up, we're going to talk about it. But if you're not, then let's not talk about it at all. And then you take your time, and then we revisit. And so that's how we feel like we can best communicate, because at least for us, I know she's more emotional like most women. So she's going to come from the space of wanting to feel everything. I'm more of a logical person. I'm thinking about it. I'm processing it. Does it make sense? And so it's like we take that time apart for me to think, sit on it, her to think, sit on it, feel her emotions, calm down, and then we talk to each other like regular human beings, like we friends, not like we arguing. Love it. So,
I got a question. So when it comes down to the support system between you and your wife,
come get on the mic, Al.
I know. It came in my head.
Come get so they can hear you, because I need to hear you.
Just for camera, but all right.
It don't matter.
Yes, sir. Get out of here. We chilling.
Oh man,
we chilling.
All right. So when it comes to the support system with you and your wife, and what you do as far as your career, and for those that don't know, can you let them know exactly what it is that you do? Was that support system always there, and how did it actually come into development? And you know, what does it look like?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, people that don't know, I'm a creative entrepreneur. So I started in photography. From there, ventured into wardrobe styling and creative direction. From there, got into modeling and also into acting following that. So all of these were my bread and butter collectively. just working in media, working in fashion. And so, initially, the support was not there. With my wife, it's always been there.
Okay.
So with my wife, she was actually one to really get me to pivot all of my pivots that got me where I'm at now. She was my biggest supporter. And I'll say, like, go hard for me. Like, she was one who was going hard for me before we even started dating. Because it's a funny story. So we met each other through, obviously, me being a photographer. She did fashion blogging, things like that. So we exchanged services. And then she ended up working for me to do my marketing because she works in marketing. And then I did her photos. And so then eventually I just brought her on to actually just hire her on to do my marketing. And so we started for real as friends because I was in a relationship. She had just got out of one. And so it's one of those things to where even then she was like, oh, no, you can do this. I see you doing this. Just constantly elevating and adding value. And so even with me shifting from photography to modeling, it was like, yeah, man, I think you should do it. I think you should do it. I'm like, man, you for real? I'm like, it really ain't no, I didn't even like taking pictures, to be honest. Like, I didn't like being in front of the camera at all. Like, I'm cool. I can take everybody else's picture, but I wasn't about to get in front. She like, nah, man, you can do it. You look good, gas me up. And, Lord behold, one of the biggest pivots in my career, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, she really was intentional about seeing me when I didn't see myself. And so I could say she's definitely like my biggest supporter, hands down. And so I'm going to always ride for it 10 toes down. Like whatever she trying to do, she got my support. And I think she knows that too. And it's funny because the way she gives me my support is how I need it. And the way I give her support is how she needs it. You know what I mean? Because I'm thinking things through all the way, and I'm adding logic. I'm adding things to where she may not see, and so we just found our balance in how we support each other, which makes it like seamless.
But as far as I know, when we were going through like our major problems or whatever,
yeah.
Slightest thing that irritate me, like, why she chewing like that? Why like little stuff is starting like, and I know a bunch about me would irritate her.
So loud?
Yeah, why he step like that? Like why he like all the stuff I've been doing is like irritating now. Can you remember some of those things? And do you know anything that she probably was looking at you like, why?
Yeah, facts. Sure, I don't know. If I do, she ain't told me. She would just be looking crazy or just doing something extra.
Was it anything that you noticed that you was doing that she just started looking crazy all of a sudden?
Sure. What was it? Or what is it? Sure. Dang. I can't pinpoint nothing.
Okay, that's cool.
But yeah, it be the little nuances though. It definitely be there for sure.
What is something you had to that you would say yourself you needed to work on within you that she would also say it too, but you just know, hey, yeah, I need to be better at that in order for us to move forward. And it may be even something that carries on into other relationships. And I'm not talking about intimate relationships, just you may be the same way in your friendships or like, you know what I'm saying? Like what is one of those things that you were just bullheaded on that you just had to, or you still may be working on the change?
Yeah, for sure. Shoot, it's a couple.
Talk to me.
One, I'm always late. I'm late for almost everything.
Super on time today.
Hey, on time. Hey, I'm making that progress.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Because I hear you. I hear people. I hear her. But she like, yo, this actually frustrated me that you was late. I'm like, okay, my bad. Even though I felt like I was validated, I had to humble myself like, you know what? You right. Mm-hmm. It's not cool to be late. You know what I'm saying? And another one I would say is just, for me, I wasn't really the most patient, and I can find myself being hypercritical and not really owning my part. Even though I can feel like I'm right, I still wouldn't want to own the piece that I played. Even if it was a reaction to what I feel like she did, I wouldn't want to own it. And I'd be critical about, little things. So it was just like, when she brought it to my attention, I was just like, man, you know what? I actually hear you. You know what I'm saying? And when she was able to bring examples, I'm like, okay, I can see how that can be annoying. I can see how that can be problematic. You know what I mean? And so it was one of the moments where I just had to humble myself. Like, you know what? Next time we're in this situation, let me just pull back on my thinking, how I'm going to process it, and then just deliver it how she can receive it.
Yeah. Max, I mean, I understand if you don't want to give it. Yeah. Your daughter's name?
Her name is Stone.
Stone. So, you know men, you know how you've been as a man, you've been around a lot of men or whatever.
Yeah.
Whether it's good or bad, you probably know what works to the main points to keeping a man. I think often we as men always spoil our daughters and always tell them what they should expect from a man, but we never give them the game on what they need to do in order to keep a man for the most part. You know, every man is different, but just to, you know what I'm saying? Like, because a lot of women can be selfish in that area too.
Yeah, no,
so
facts.
If you can look into the camera and tell Stone, give her some advice for when she see this later on.
Yep. All right, man. So, baby girl, always stay true to yourself. Believe in yourself and know who you are. Know that you are loved always, and love yourself first. Because when you love yourself first, you can love your man better. Be sure to communicate how you feel, but also be open to listening to how he feels. Take some time together to be intimate. Love that man. Build that man up, believe in that man, pray over that man, and love that man. And cook for him too.
Man, this has been a good one. I appreciate you. If you don't mind leaving us marked the rest of the world. You took care of Stone.
Yeah. Can
you take care of the rest of the world and leave us marked out and then pray us out?
For sure. Oh, man. What I can say to the world, man, know who you are is enough. Know the gifts that you have them because you're supposed to have them. So nurture those gifts, nurture those talents, and believe them at the highest capacity. Dream again, believe again, and see again. Lord, I just pray over this room right now. I pray for everybody out there, God, that you cover them, that you first, God, forgive all of our sins, God, any sin known and unknown in our life, God. We just ask that you just meet everybody where they are in their point of needs, God. I pray a special prayer even for this room, God, that you, God, allow them to just see you like they've never seen you before, God. Let them see your hands in their situations, God. Let them see your hand, God, in their finances. Let them see your hand in their relationships, in their families, God. God, that you cover them, God, with your blood, God, that you send your angels of protection to always lead and guide them into all truth and keep them from all hurt, harm, and danger, God. And for everyone listening, God, I pray, God, that you just allow them, God, to just believe in who they are, God, that the enemy may have tried to tear them down through God, trauma, through childhood situations, God, to try to sow seeds of lies, God, sow seeds of deceit, to make them believe that they're not enough, to make them believe that they don't have what it has to be, God, to make them believe, God, that they're not able to do exceeding and abundant, God, because your word says, God, that you would do exceeding and abundant above all that we can ask or think, God. So I pray, God, that you allow them to start dreaming and believing above what they can ask or think for, God, to put it in their prayers, God, that they see, God, above, God, what the world standard may be, God, but there is no limit with you, God, that we know that there is a limitless God that can exceed, God, our expectations, God. So right now, God, I pray for a supernatural blessing, God, that you just pour into their life, God, that they know it's nothing from you, God, that they know it's a pure, God, blessing from you, God. It was sent by you, God, to just remind them, God, that you love them, to remind them, God, that you care, to remind them that you're still God over their life. And God, you see everything that they're going through. And God, you're a God that you say you'll never leave us nor forsake us, God. So remind them, God, that you didn't leave. Remind them that you didn't forsake them, God. and continue to be with them, continue to cover them. And I pray, God, that you touch their dreams, God, and visions, that they become manifested in their life immediately, God. Not just tomorrow, God, but right now they see, God, the small seed planted, God, will begin to manifest a harvest. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Father. That was amazing.
Amazing.
The goal is to leave a lasting imprint on their minds and their hearts. We pray
Yes,
you've been
sir.
indelibly marked.
That's all.
Hey, you said can't nobody match that last prayer.
Yeah.